Today we're going to start talking about the rectangular coordinate system. So the rectangular coordinate system is composed of two axes, the x and the y. The x is horizontal, so you can see it right here with the x labeled, and then the y is vertical, so you can see it labeled here. As we go and begin to start graphing, this will be the start of our graphing chapter, we will always have points to graph. They will be x and y. So the x will happen on the horizontal axis and the y will happen on the vertical axis, and we'll put those two things together. When we put points on the graph, we call that plotting a point. XY is considered an ordered pair, so that's important to think about, that which one comes first makes a difference. So to show you that, let's look at these 2 points, A and B, where A is 4, -2, and then B is -2, 4. So I just reversed the order to show you how important it is. So to plot A, I start with the 4 on the X. So I go 1, 2, 3, 4 over, and then I go 1, 2 down, and I'm going to put a really big exaggerated dot for you. And I'm going to write that that is the letter A. Let's do the same thing with B. So it first says -2, which says first I go 2 to the left, and then I go up 4, and again a really big dot, and I will label that B. So you can see how they aren't even close to each other, so in completely different places on the graph. So it's very important that you look at order as you're graphing your points. When we graph, we also want to see that there are really 4 parts to the XY coordinate system, and we do have different names for the system. So we're calling it the rectangular coordinate system. You can call it the XY because it uses points XY, and then sometimes it's also called the Cartesian coordinate system. They all mean the same thing. The 4 parts that you see of it, we call those quadrants. So this right here, where both things are positive, x and y are both positive, that's quadrant 1. Once we identify quadrant 1, the rest we go counterclockwise. So to the left, there's quadrant 2, under, there's quadrant 3, and then this last one is quadrant 4. So once you can identify one, you go counterclockwise to get the rest. So as we go, I'll have us talk about every once in a while, what quadrant are we in? So we're going to start by first giving some points, and we're going to decide what are the coordinates of those points. So let's look at A. When I look at A, I can see I went 1 to the left, so that's -1, and then it's the y coordinate is 3, so my A is 1, 3, and let's just go ahead and put our quadrants on because we talked about it. So we might as well reinforce it, and we can say A is in quadrant 2. Looking for B, here's B over on the right, and I can see B, the x coordinate is 5, and then the y coordinate is 2, and the whole thing is in quadrant 1. C happens to be on the y-axis, so it's not in any specific quadrant, but I can see the x value is 0, and then the y value is 4. So this is not in any quadrant at all. Then my last one, D. D I can see is the x coordinate of 4, and then the y coordinate is -2, and this happens to be in quadrant 4. And let's just fix this one. Looks like it's in the wrong quadrant, so let's make sure that looks right. Let's point out, since we're right here, that C, where it is touching and it's just on the y-axis, we call that a y-intercept. So if I had something on the x-axis, and let's put something there like 3, then this would be an x-intercept. So not in a quadrant, but like on the axis. Okay. So we're going to plot a few more points. And as we go, we'll talk about quadrants again, just so we reinforce that idea. So the first one says 0, 3. So I'm not going left or right. I'm only going to the y of 3. And we would say this is a y-intercept. Okay. Then 5, 2. I'm going over 5 on the x, up 2 on the y. So there's my point. That would be in quadrant 1. And then -4, so left 4, and then up 1, and I would say that's quadrant 2. Let's look at this one. I have 4, 3, so I'm going over 4 and up 3. And then I'm negative 3, 3, so go to the x negative 3 and then to the y of 3. And then I have 4 down to negative 2. Okay. So we plotted these points. So let's ask one more question. When I look at these points, I can see these two line up, and I can see these two line up. So we could, let's add another color there to do it, connect the dots. So let's say I connect these, and I connect these. And I think, well, what if I wanted to continue this, right, connecting the dots? And this, of course, would be a triangle if I added it this way. But what if I want to make a rectangle, right? So I would want to come down until these line up. And then I think, well, what point is this? So this point has an x value at negative 3, and it has a y value at negative 2. So what you can see is we had the same x value, and we had the same y value.